What's up, guys? Today we've got a patient. We got a sick Ginger. She's at daddy daycare today. You alright, darling? Yeah. Okay. So whilst Ginger is curled up in her duvet watching a movie, we are going to go and have a quick look because I think Haas are about to unveil. Well, they're going to unveil their livery. That is obviously not the same as unveiling their car. It's just going to be the unveiling of their new team. So the new team sponsor of Rich Energy. We think it's going to be a black and gold livery to go with Rich Energy's brand colours. But we'll see what they show.
Anyway, the start of a new relationship, a new era for you. William, what does it mean to now be title sponsor of the Haas F1 team?
We're absolutely delighted of it. We think that Haas are, absolutely our favourite team on the grid. They're brilliant people, and they're the perfect partner for Rich Energy as we move forward to take Red Bull, challenge Red Bull on and off the track.
Love that. That's the Rich Energy CEO, William Story, saying his favourite team on the grid is Haas F1. Really? No shit.
Like me, so the colours will be nice. I mean, a complete change from last year, or from the last 3 years. We were always grey. We changed the colours because Rich Energy came on board. And,
that's brilliant. Günther Steiner makes me laugh every time. His accent is he's just priceless. Talk about the colour of his car there, and that it's going to be black this year. He says for the last few years we've always been gay. What he said was grey, but it sounded very much like they've always been gay.
But first of all, I would like you to do the honours and actually go to the back of the car and unveil what is underneath. Alright,
here we go then. This is where we see the first livery, I guess, of 2019 Formula One.
Come on, boys. Oh, you were told from the front. Oh gosh, oh here we go. Okay, we're doing it from the front. Give them a huge round of applause. So what do you think?
It's pretty cool, isn't it? It looks fast.
It's dangerous.
It looks angry.
It does. Are you going to drive this with a vengeance?
With what?
With speed and power.
Of course, of course.
Okay, good. And talk us through testing, a couple of weeks' time. What are your expectations?
Well, for testing, it's it's exciting. It's the first time you get to feel the car and kind of get the first early idea of whether or not you're going to be fast. So, what do you want?
Cameras over there.
Okay, so yeah, as expected then, 2018 chassis, but it has got the new front wing on it, the 2019 front wing. Really quite simplistic, much wider. You can see that it already extends out as wide as the front wheels of the car. That will be a talking point at times this year, undoubtedly, because particularly in the first few corners of a race, you are going to see those getting knocked off. Just look how the edge of the end plate, a very, very simple and very straight, much less outswept end plate, is pretty much in line with the outside of the front wheel of the car. We had that a few years ago, and one of the consequences of that was the fact that we had bits flying off in the first few corners of a race. Expect that to happen again. Far fewer elements, of course, on the front wing. None of the flick-ups and flaps that we've all been used to. And you can already see from the shape of the front wing end plate. And this is a really kind of prescribed area now in the regulations. There's almost no areas for teams to innovate and to improvise in this particular area of the car. This is almost a spec part now, the front wing end plate. Whereas before, there used to be very much aggressive, outswept front wing end plates to try and generate that outwash effect that we've all heard so much about. Nowadays, to minimise the outwash, we've got an almost straight, almost spec'd part within the regulations. The regs are so tight, there's no room for people to interpret them differently. It's slightly chaotic, I've got to say. the way this is being run. People keep standing with their backs to the camera. Anyway, it's interesting to see the car with the new front wing on. I guess no surprises there. What do you make of the livery? The first reaction is that it reminds you of either the Lotus, doesn't it, of the 2012 era, or the John Player special cars back in the 70s with the black and gold. Nice to see those colours, I guess, coming back into F1, but other than that, not too much to learn from this particular unveiling, as expected.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We're now going to have a press conference taking place in the room next door upstairs. So thanks for joining on Motorsport Network, and we'll see the rest of you in the press conference.
Got to say, that was a slightly weird event. Slightly chaotic event. There were people standing with their backs to the cameras. Drivers not knowing where to unveil the car from the front or the back. And it's a strange one, this, because they sent out a press invite to this event and the dress code was incredibly strict about what you should be wearing, what you should not be wearing to this event. And I think it's put a lot of people off from going. I don't think there's huge interest anyway. I mean, I looked at it and thought, I don't really understand the point of being there. What are we going to learn? We're obviously seeing it anyway, being broadcast now, and even having seen it now, I don't think there's much to learn at all. So, strange one, strange. This whole rich energy thing, I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I don't want to comment too much because I don't know enough, but I think that's the point. Nobody knows very much about rich energy. No one's ever seen a can in the shops. This is a huge company with a huge amount of wealth to be able to invest in a Formula One title partnership, and yet no one's ever seen a can of their drink for sale. They say they want to take on Red Bull, both on and off the racetrack. That means they want to take them on in the energy drinks market too. Yet, does a can even exist? Are they available to buy? Can you buy one of these in a shop anywhere? Has anyone ever seen one anywhere in a shop for sale? If you have, please do let me know. If you see one, buy it. Could be a collector's item. Right, so let me know your thoughts on both the way the car looks in terms of its livery. Are you in any way excited by that? But most importantly, what are your thoughts on the link up with Rich Energy? There are a number of people suggesting, and I can't possibly comment on this, but that it may be some kind of money laundering exercise. Wouldn't be the first time in Formula One's history, that's for sure. And what do you think of Haas? What do you think of their chances? Same driver lineup. One of very few teams actually to retain the same driver lineup for 2019. They're one of these teams that have done very well given their resources. They're running a very different business model, of course, to most other teams. But what's the best they can achieve? There was an interesting article in Autosport that I read by Ed Straw talking about how the idea of any of the midfield teams, in fact any team outside of the top three teams, really have to completely reset their expectations when they get into Formula One or when competing in Formula One, because realistically, whilst everybody is trying to do the best they can, and obviously it's a sport, the idea is everybody wants to win, everyone wants to get some success, win races and challenge for world titles. But the truth is that very few people in this sport are able to do that. You know, I've talked about this before. Formula One is very unlikely, perhaps even impossible right now in the current form, to ever have a Leicester City moment, if you want to refer back to football, where a complete underdog in the modern era could take race wins and certainly not challenge for a championship victory. So for someone like Haas, when they're having an event like this, unveiling their livery to the world's media gathered round, they're being asked questions about what are your expectations for the year. You know, they're racing drivers, they're team principals, they're competitive people who have grown up in a sport, in a competitive sport, probably, certainly with drivers, grown up winning. They've got to Formula One because they've won in everything else they've competed in. And yet they get to Formula One and realistically they've got no chance of winning. You know, how does that make you feel at this point in the season when we're all gathered around, waiting to hear everybody talk positively about their new car and their chances, their opportunities for the year. But the reality is, their chances for the year are mediocre to slim, marginal. You know, they may on occasion challenge to be in the top 5. And that's probably about as good as they can hope for. It's a weird old world, Formula One, isn't it? And I always kind of, whenever I'm thinking about things like this, I always think of people looking in from the outside. We're all so immersed in Formula One. I've been involved in this sport for 20 years nearly. You know, we're completely, it's ingrained in our soul. We've known nothing else really apart from F1 and its evolution over that time. But people looking in from the outside, football fans or other sports fans who take a look at Formula One, what must they think of this crazy sport where we spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars each year, when probably 2, maybe 3 teams ever have an opportunity or a chance to win? It's madness, isn't it? Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to go and snuggle up next to little Ginger on the sofa under the duvet and watch a kids movie. And if I'm really honest, I can't wait. See you tomorrow, guys.